before we jump to War Room and answer a bunch of the Discord questions, there was another kick up of Rex Ryan chatter, right? He confirmed on ESPN New York he's going to do an interview. I just recorded with our friend Peter Schrager, and he brought up Rex as like a serious candidate who's going to get interviewed. What? We've been talking about this since like October. I think it was your drunk conspiracy theory of the week. And now we could very well end up recording the podcast where I say, what's up, everybody? It's happened. The Jets have brought Rex Ryan back. I would say 15% chance, 8% chance. But is there a world that does exist where everything breaks the wrong way? And it's like, well, Vrabel goes to the Raiders and Cohn goes to the Bears and Ben Johnson stays with the Lions and Aaron Glenn goes to the Saints and Flores is going to stay with the Vikings. And Rex like blows it out of the water with his interview. And it's like mid-February and they're like, oh man, we got to hire someone. They just hire Rex. Before we end, I'm laughing because I can't believe this is a thing. Where's your head at on that as something that could happen for our 2025 Jets?
So I'm a little, and let's keep in mind, Rex is saying he expects to speak with them. There's a couple ways you could read that. One, and I know he said it because Jake Asman's been filling in on DiPietro and Rothenberg, and I'm glad Jake just asked them directly, like, because it's like, hey, let's quiet it down for a while. One, does Rex know that because Tannenbaum's running the search, or is Rex just saying like, hey, yeah, I expect it, and there's no merit? I don't know. Who knows? The thing where I'm a little tripped up with this one is why it doesn't make any sense right now is the Jets have been talking to people that are unemployed.
Yeah.
That's the point of letting go the previous people in season. The point is you start this process and get all of the people interviewed that you can talk to now. And then when the season ends and you have these little windows to talk to the people that are employed for playoff teams or whatever it may be. Vrabel's very unique. I've never seen that in my life where Vrabel, great job by his agent, since he's a coaching consultant, they structured the contract that it ran out before the last week of the season. Very so smart. Vrabel can start interviewing before anybody can that's employed. And typically, people that are employed are more desirable than people that are unemployed because people are unemployed for a reason, like Rex Ryan. So I guess what I'm hung up on is, why haven't they spoken to him yet? Because we heard Ron Rivera. They've talked to other GM candidates. And Ron Rivera obviously is a coaching candidate, so it's not like they're dismissing talking to coaching candidates. And then the second part of it to me that doesn't pass the smell test. And once again, like, this is the Jets, so just because I'm applying logic doesn't mean I'm right.
How dare you apply logic?
Yeah, like I could be very wrong because there's no applying logic to the Jets. I thought the Rex drunk take to me was the Jets defense reeks right now. Rodgers is fine. We feel like we have to run it back with him, and we think he's enough. And Rex is going to get this really short-term contract to try to win with Rodgers and fix the defense and spark energy to the team. Since that happened, Rodgers hasn't really played great, and he gets hurt a lot because he's old. Okay, it happens. Yeah, the defense still stinks, but it's gone to the full point of the Jets are like, who is coming to be the general manager of this team with the 1-year Band-Aid of Rex Ryan and Aaron Rodgers?
Mike Tannenbaum, baby. Right from the interview to the GM seat.
Exactly. That's it. So it doesn't add up anymore unless you think Rodgers is coming back, which no one does. So you're telling me, like, there is nothing more insane, in my opinion. And we have said on the show, we love Rex. Like, he loved being coach of the Jets. He cares. He has pride in the team. Handing Rex Ryan the next rebuild, which at some point in the next 2 years will include a young quarterback, is wild. Like, the conversation is wild. It's absolutely wild. It doesn't make any an ounce of sense. And so I don't know. And there's just a world where, do I think Rex will get an interview if the Jets say that the process starts and Vrabel goes elsewhere, right? And then the Jets are going through a much longer process than we expected because Aaron Glenn is deep in the playoffs. Brian Flores is deep in the playoffs. Liam Cohen's in the playoffs. And once again, I don't really count Ben Johnson. And I've even kind of like, I don't know if I count Liam Cohen because he's a young offensive mind. I just don't know if that person will want to come here. Who knows? But those guys are deep in the playoffs and it's dragging on. And they're like, let's talk to Rex as well. And like, we love Rex. It's good for him. It's good for us. We're talking to a ton of people. But if I think the Jets could have it their way, would they just want to hire Mike Vrabel in a week and not even ever have this combo? Yeah, that's what they would want.
If Woody was a real legend, I think Meeg suggested this in our group chat. You have Vrabel get surprise guest appearance in the box at Sunday's game. Not that there'll be anyone there. There'll be like 18 people in the stands, but at least on the TV broadcast, like sitting there in between Woody and Chris and whoever else is in the box. Yeah, I mean with Rex, like who's the coaching staff? Is it his brother? Is it his son? Is it Dennis Thurman and Mike Pettin? Is it they bringing Shoddy back? It feels very silly. He hasn't coached in a long time. Now, maybe he comes with this whole comprehensive plan and he has some young, dynamic offensive coordinator.
Well, let me throw it to you like this. Why does it make like Rex couldn't get the DC jobs in Denver and Dallas?
Yeah.
But now he's a head coaching candidate for the Jets. And
he's only a head coaching candidate for the Jets. No other team is considering looking at him.
This makes no, like once again, you're applying logic to a situation. This doesn't make sense. I mean, I can probably read you 12 candidates that you'd rather take a shot on than, and this conversation sucks because it's insulting to Rex and that's the last thing we want to be doing. But I cannot believe this is a real conversation.
It's kind of crazy. And we've seen a lot of crazy things here. It would be, I don't want to say like unprecedented, but in some ways it is unprecedented, right? I'm thinking about like when like Joe Gibbs came back or like Gruden came back to the Raiders. Those guys won Super Bowls though.
Yeah,
and different. It was just different than this. Rex has been at it for so long. He's just been a TV analyst.
The ending was bad. It wasn't good.
It was like he went out on top after like they beat the Pats in that game, right? There was like other seasons that happened that were really ugly. So I don't know. I think they'll have a more standard result than we expect. I would not be betting on Rex. I hope it's Vrabel. If it's not Vrabel, I think it's likely to be Glenn or Flores or maybe Cone or like something like that. I think we could talk ourselves into those options.
That's totally fine. Aaron Glenn is the most just normal. And I get it. People will do great, another defensive guy. And but Aaron Glenn has been with the Lions that they have young offensive staff members. Like they are doing things the way the Jets should be trying to do. Like I'm not sitting here telling you it's going to work, but I'm telling you that there's a chance it does. So I also feel like Glenn, oddly enough, and this is maybe an assumption, but just when you talk to people that have actually been around him, Glenn is one of the more rare, he might just transition better to being a head coach than just being he's a good defensive coach. I mean, the Lions are running out of players and they're still finding ways to create takeaways, but it's once again, it goes who looks at Tomlin or John Harbaugh and they think mastermind. You don't really think mastermind. You think knows how to run a professional organization that the people doing their jobs are qualified to be doing their jobs. And when they get in front of a podium or a locker room, we have a plan and we're following this man. And I actually think Glenn is highly qualified for that part of it. And, I'm just dreading when Glenn gets the job, one of my favorite Jets of that part of my childhood. I don't want, it's going to be unfair to Aaron Glenn when everyone's like, oh, cool, another defensive coach. This is going to fail again. He just deserves a chance is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. And look, I think there's a very real chance he gets a job. If it's not going to be Vrabel, which look, it's going to be competitive as hell for Vrabel. We have to see what happens with the Pats and the Raiders. Glenn is probably if you take Vrabel off the board and I had to bet on someone, I would bet on an ending with Glenn. Not saying that's my number one preferred pick. I'm just saying that's what's most likely to happen. And I'm completely fine with it. So
I would say I'd put Glenn at because it feels like we're really far away right now. We haven't had a lot of leaks and cracks and favorites. You'd probably put Glenn at plus 300, Vrabel at plus 450, Flores, the Flores, Liam Cohen. Who am I missing?
Kingsbury.
Yeah,
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady, like that bracket, and I might put Flores a little ahead of them because I just think he's more qualified. And the one leak we do get a lot, and whether it's real or not, is that we keep hearing experience.
Yeah.
And
that's Flores.
Or
it's laying the ground for Arthur Smith or Matt Nagy and us protesting at Florida.
I mean, that's just I can't wrap my head around that. It's so easy to just pull from the Lions because you look at if you want experienced GM, John Dorsey's there. If you want an experienced guy that hasn't been GM yet but has good experience, Ray Agnew's there.
Yep.
One of the two just come with Aaron Glenn, and it's like you're doing kind of, the Giants tried this with Dable and Shin, and it was the right idea. Just because it didn't work, but it was the right idea. And to be fair, John Dorsey's picked a hell of a lot more top-end NFL players than Joe Schoen ever has. So that's not even like a fair one-to-one comparison.
Yeah. I mean, look, once we get this Dolphins game in the rearview mirror, the process is going to speed up and the leaks are going to speed up. And this will dominate all of January. And it's been a while since we've done one of these, but it'll be interesting. And, as we start to dive deep into what the prospective options are and how they're going to fit. And we're going to make sure when we record Streets of Fire that we carve out that final episode, because by the time we do it, I think the candidates will likely be hired, and that's going to be a full forward-looking episode. We don't want to spend the whole docuseries just looking back. And then, of course, we'll have the normal episodes. All right, before we jump to War Room and wrap, we're recording this last day of the year. We'll run the last day of the year. Thank you, everyone. I think we published over 500 posts this year on Patreon, which is a nice step up content volume-wise and a nice year-end note out to everyone. Thank you again.
Let's average posts per wins.
Oh my God.
500 divided by 4. We did 125 posts per every Jets win.
Per win. With at least...
I should have been able to do that without a calculator. But
there's like 35 emergency podcasts. It's somehow this year with only 4 wins. But we were very happy to be able to spike that up. And we're lucky to be surrounded by so many talented people and get things like other guys in TOJ Talks and Draft Season and Flight Plan and... Dan's still rolling with Buck the Trend, which is our longest rolling show besides our flagship and War Room. So only more to come. As we've talked about ad nauseum, docuseries will hit in February. Live show will be April 11th in New York City. Thank you, everyone who voted. As Paul and I frantically look for a venue that we could afford and will accommodate us in Manhattan, we will release the tickets around February 10th. And a lot more to come. And us continuing to invest in the production, video, and audio quality of the business as we continue to grow. So thank you, everyone. We will talk to you on the other side in 2025. And we'll talk to you also on Sunday for our final post-game therapy of the year.